So we just tested all 5 of these setups completely blind. And the 2 of us didn't know at all which ones we were testing when we did it. And now we do. And now we get to wrap it all up because some of the results were definitely surprising. We weren't expecting them. So
You might say some of the results were shocking.
So the 5 sets of shocks that we tested are the Fox 2.5s, the Elka 2.5s, the Icon 2.5s, the Bilstein 8100s, and the King 2.5s. All with resis except for the Icon, which unfortunately we couldn't get in time, so it's an IFP.
Man, I was blown away. That's the first thing I couldn't believe is honestly how bad the Foxes are.
Yeah.
They were the worst by far, which never in a million years would I bet on that, but they were worse than
They were
stock.
in another category altogether.
Yeah, they were so bad. And the Icon IFP without the remote resi, well, it's
It was
fine.
totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally good.
exactly.
Yeah. And I don't know, I don't sell much Icon. I think I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Start.
I mean, it's interesting, but this is why we did it because neither of us, I don't think, would have ever sold Icons if we could avoid it. But here we are eating our own words. So.
Dude, I was completely wrong about them. Yeah, I owe them all an apology. It was killer for an IFP coilover. I don't know what more you want out of it, really. It was fine.
I mean, there's more to be had if you go with one of the better 2 options we found.
Yeah.
But the difference starts to get really small at the top end, I think.
It does, yeah.
Some of the differences we did find, we're putting all these shocks on the exact same truck. Every single one's a different length.
Yeah, and it's like even a different length body and shaft. Like, check it.
So we have the Icon here, which is the longest of the bunch, and then we have the Bilstein, which is the shortest of the bunch. Like, how does that even make sense? But the Bilsteins were the best performing ones, so who knows?
And they're all OEM fit 2.5 replacements. They're supposed to be, these are direct bolt-in replacements for stock shocks with stock travel.
Exactly. So it's kind of weird. Like you'd figure you'd go to bump and that's the length of shock you can fit, but apparently these guys have different ideas of what that is.
And the Bilsteins, the shaft travel is different and the body size is different than the Icons. Like an 1.5 inch difference in body.
Yeah.
That's substantial. So is it gonna bottom out then at least an 1.5 inches sooner?
I mean, it looks like we use all the travel on all of them, so.
In the rear, definitely.
Yeah. Out of all the shocks, the Kings did leak a little bit of oil on one of the rear shocks, which is not exactly what you're hoping for with a brand new set of shocks.
Especially when you've driven for like 2 hours,
Yeah,
maybe.
total.
And I think the Elkas, I think if we took them apart, there's some seal hydraulic noise happening inside one side. I would quantify it as like seal squelch. It's like squish, squish, squish.
Over every bump. Yeah.
Yep.
You do that noise very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, in order of ride quality on the road, which ones would you recommend?
On-road ride quality, #1 is the King.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
I think so too.
I don't understand why the Bilsteins are so soft. I've never had another 8100 series platform. Even other Tacoma ones I've done. I haven't installed the new gray zone control shocks, and I wonder if they revalved it for the new part numbers because it is very soft on road. Honestly, a little too soft in my opinion, which is the opposite of what Bilstein does for everything else.
Yeah, definitely when we were driving these ones on road, they had the most body roll of any of them.
Yeah.
To the point where it was too much, and we can handle a lot of body roll, I think. So yeah, it was interesting. Whereas the 3 here, the Elkas, the Icons, and the Kings, they all had very similar on-road characteristics, and I think they were all pretty good. The Kings might have edged them out a little bit, and then the Fox, it was like driving on rails. Like the thing didn't move at all through the corners, but then it also didn't move at all when you hit a bump. So your back was just getting wrecked. The craziest thing is that we thought, okay, they're all tuned for the same truck. It's gonna be pretty hard to tell them apart. And in reality, they were all so different from each other. How about for off-road? What did we kind of figure for that?
I think the 8100s are the best, which isn't, I mean, it's not really a fair comparison because the 8100s are a 5-zone, like, kind of internal bypass style coilover. They're not actually bypassing the main piston. All the zones are working with the main piston, so you get that full-size main piston. It's like having a bump, an air bump inside of the coilover, but you can feel it engage, definitely.
Yeah. They were very clunky off-road.
They were.
You could hear and feel every time they engaged, but the off-road performance was leagues better than everybody else.
Yeah.
They just ate everything up. They didn't clang on top out. They just kind of did their job. Whereas all the other ones, if they started bouncing, they would top out pretty hard. I would say, I guess it was the Elkas that were topping out the hardest with that loud bang.
I think so,
yeah. That was crazy.
The Kings topped out pretty hard too.
They did, yeah. But I would say they were similar to the Icons and the Foxes in that regard. Yeah.
The Foxes, I don't even know. I just don't know. I think we might need to open the Foxes and see if the piston's upside down or something in it. Cause
that's how it felt.
It felt like it had an upside down piston.
We really thought that Fox would have been one of the top brands just because we both like Fox. We've driven lots of Fox, everything. But yeah, it was like really, really bad. So yeah, maybe there's something wrong with them. But
I hope so, because if everybody with the Tacoma with this has this shock setup,
I'm sure you're all going to comment about how your Foxes are totally great though, so maybe we're just wrong, but we definitely didn't find that was the case.
But if you do think that's true, make sure you leave a comment.
Yeah. So as far as long-term durability, obviously this test is pretty short-term, so we don't get to like run them for a year each. But as far as that goes, down here, we're in the desert. Everything just kind of works. It lasts, there's no rust. But up where we're from in Canada, there's a ton of salt on the roads, salt in the air, just rain, everything. And so some of these shocks definitely rust more than others. We find that the Elkas and the Icons with their aluminum body won't rust at all. Fox actually has a new aluminum body series as well, which is really cool. So that's definitely something to consider if you're in a salty environment, but you might be making some trade-offs in longer term durability as well. With an aluminum body, maybe they wear out from the inside quicker. So it's hard to say at this point, but just something to bring up. The other difference we found is some of the hardware. You want to walk us through the hardware?
Yeah, it's just weird, like on the top hats, this is just like a grade A yellow zinc bolt, and then this looks like, what are these, like black phosphorus or something? This is an oxide, which is supposed to be fairly good. The stem mounts are a little odd. You've got like a nylock, the double nut system on the Icons, and then you have a Stover nut on the Bilstein, and then a nylock on the King. So it is interesting that every single company pretty much uses a different system. The weirdest one is the Icons with the lock nut on it.
Yeah.
Frankly, I haven't seen that on a shock before.
I've never seen that either, even on other Icon shocks. So
yeah, this is
pretty weird.
It's a first for me, although honestly, this set of Icons was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very odd that it is so much longer than the rest. So I think with this one, without extending your bump stops, you're gonna be smashing into that shock body. So I wonder if that'll affect longevity.
Yeah, it could. Elka is the only one that's using a generic top hat. So the top hat in this has a whole bunch of different holes, and I'm assuming that that's for different vehicles. They also have some holes going through the side that go through the other threads, and it doesn't seem really great to me. It's like they're trying to cut some costs there, which is fair as a business, but also every other brand here has a top hat that's designed specifically for the Tacoma. So I think that's a point in all the other companies' direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that the reservoir size for all of these is completely different. You got 9, 8, 9, 7, 8, and a 9. None of them are the same length. And you would think that like with a shock like this, that all the companies might arrive at the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, well, first of all, you'd obviously expect all the shocks to be the same length, which they aren't, which
already throws everything
really weird. And then the reservoirs are different sizes as well.
And shaft sizes also seem to be pretty different. Like the Bilstein has quite a small shaft size.
Yeah, they just switched to it.
The Elka, pretty small as well.
That's a 7/8.
Yeah, the Fox, the Icon, and the King all use the same size. So, yeah.
Man, this was a crazy experiment. I'm so glad that you were able to come down here and we were able to do this. I hope you guys got some value out of it. I know kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, mine too, for sure.
If you guys have not seen the other videos in this series, you gotta check them out and see all the shocks that we've tested and really get a feel for like where your money's going in a performance suspension setup. But until then, if you guys have other ideas for things you'd like us to test in the off-road industry, leave it down below, and maybe whichever one is the most popular we'll do next.
Yeah.
How about that?
That'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah, so
Can't wait.
please make sure you like and subscribe, Overland Outfitters. Without them, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. And we will catch you guys on the trail.